Welcome back to Washington Watch. I'm Tony Perkins, your host. So good to have you with us. The website, tonyperkins.com. All right, within days of taking office, one of the executive orders of President Joe Biden was to basically halt the work on the border wall on our southern border. Now, what officials say on the border, law enforcement officials say that the border is less secure than ever before in some places, because what happened was they were creating these roads along the border to give Border Patrol and other law enforcement agents quick access. But of course, that was to be protected by a wall, by a fence, and other security devices. Well, now there's gaping holes, but there is a high-speed highway, and some are using this to smuggle individuals into the country. Joining me now to talk more about this is Stephen Dinan. He is an assistant managing editor at the Washington Times. Stephen, welcome to Washington Watch.
My pleasure to be here.
All right, so what's the situation? You've actually interviewed some of the law enforcement officials there on the southern border in Arizona. What's happening?
So it's what you just said. There are the wall system, and the old administration, previous administration, was always very careful to call it a wall system because it was more than just the actual border barrier. It was the road that you just mentioned, this high-speed road that stands just back from the actual border wall, and there was some technology involved as well. There are agents, Border Patrol agents, who actually believe that in some cases the road is the more valuable part of that system because it allows them, as you said, easy and quick access. The point of the barrier, the wall, is to deny people, to slow them down, and then the high-speed road gives the border agents a chance to get there and apprehend them. That's the most important part of this equation. There are about 5 miles, at least in southern Arizona, at least, and I don't know other parts of the border, how much more there might be in California. I was only able to get information from the Army Corps of Engineers on their projects, but about 5 miles of roads that were built, and then you had the border wall halt, and so there were no walls built along the border. So as you said, you have the road, and it's easy access. The sheriff in Cochise County, which is in southeastern Arizona, said, we've caught more groups of people getting onto those roads. We've spotted them. They're getting on the roads, and it gives them quick access deeper into the country. There are Border Patrol agents who say, yeah, we're aware of that, and so we can at least sort of station folks to catch them coming off of the roads. But, you know, it's an access point and a vulnerability that's been left there.
I've been to the southern border, and during the construction, and seen the road that it makes getting there a lot easier than it used to be. Of course, as you said, it was to be combined with a barrier to keep people from using it for illegal purposes. But what this order did, stopped construction. The road had already been in place. The reality is that we're now seeing more people coming into the country with apparently greater ease than before the whole project began.
Yeah, there's the numbers tell that story. Absolutely. The numbers are skyrocketing right now. And the administration, it's interesting, the administration won't label it a crisis. They've labeled it a challenge. There are plenty of border sheriffs and individual Border Patrol agents on the ground who say, this is a crisis, what we're facing down here. It looks every bit like what we saw in 2019 with the massive border surge then. I'll actually tell you, one sheriff earlier today put it to me that one of the things, the smuggling cartels are incredibly good at adapting to what the U.S. side does security-wise. What the sheriff said is, we've essentially, while the cartels have improved and expanded their capabilities, the Biden administration has taken us back to where we were in 2016. So as they've gotten better, we have actually gotten worse. We've retrograded our abilities, and you can see the mismatch there, and it's showing up in these numbers. Then, in particular, the number of, they're called unaccompanied alien children is the official government term. They're juveniles under 18 who come across without any parent with them. We just saw a case today. There are 105 migrants caught in one group in the Rio Grande Valley sector, deep Texas. And in that group, 23 UACs, 23 unaccompanied juveniles who came across in there without parents. Those numbers are growing quickly, and the government, Homeland Security, expects that they will have a record monthly number within a couple months, topping anything we saw in 2014 and in 2019, the past two surges.
Stephen, let me ask you this question, because a lot of these contracts were already let. The construction was underway, and when these stop work orders went out, I mean, they basically just dropped their tools and had to stop where they were. But it's my understanding these contracts are going to have to be paid. So we're going to actually pay, the federal government's going to pay for a wall or a barrier that's not even going to be there. And we're going to continue to have these issues where if they would have allowed them at least finish what was underway, we wouldn't have the mismatch of the highway and no barrier system.
Yeah, what you just said is exactly right. The former Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, Mark Morgan, who was the guy who was overseeing that construction for the last year and a half or so, tells me that he believes that sunk cost will be billions of dollars in either fees that we have to pay to those companies. Part of it is literally just they have the steel lying around, and we're gonna have to figure out what to do with that steel. Do you surplus it? Well, what do you do with it?
The cartel will take it.
Store it. One other quick thing on that is that you have there's a question as to whether the border halt is actually legal. You may remember that President Trump ran into trouble when he stopped Ukrainian security assistance money, and the Government Accountability Office ruled that's illegal because Congress allocated that money. There's some argument, I've talked to several congressional power experts who say that the halt itself runs afoul of that same, the congressional, the Impoundment and Control Act.
Very quickly, we're almost out of time, but the SUV packed with 25 illegal immigrants involved in a crash, 13 died. Reports are they made their way through one of these gaping holes in the barrier.
Yeah, in particular. So this is what's really, it's not a very commonly told story, but what the smugglers do to get these folks across, in this case, they'd taken out the back seats out of the SUV so they could stack 25 people in that SUV. I came across a case just yesterday where they had a guy stuck inside of a box that was literally 9 inches high and about 16 inches wide, and they stuck him inside there, no ventilation or anything, to get him through checkpoints.
Wow.
What the smugglers do, it's really inhumane.
Stephen, thanks so much for joining us. Good to talk with you.
My pleasure.